Ugh, it's been a week for me. I got locked into my apartment, but at least I didn't have to witness my arch enemy cozying up to my son. And I had to rush to see some Broadway shows this week before they close, but at least I didn't get hit on by a drunk at the MetroCourt pool.
Mm.
And, well, finally, I almost didn't get to vote in the New York City primary. But at least I didn't have to thank someone for covering up my daughter's crime. Oh, so I should be grateful. And you should be too, because here's the start of the Snarkcast. Hello from outside in New York, where it's a much needed balmy 68 degrees after reaching 106 this week.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. It was bad. I'm Stark Jr. This is episode 40, taped on Friday, June 27th, 2025, Pride weekend here in New York. And this is my cohort, Mama Snark.
And I am
How are you?
I am great. I'm inside. It is pleasant here. It's about 72 degrees. And I don't know if our snarkies know that I'm going away for a while. I
She's
am
taking that secret trip
I'm
to Europe.
see I'm taking a secret trip to Europe to see if I can find Spencer. I'm going to Europe for 2 weeks, so I'm not entirely sure what's happening to the Snarkcast, except it will not be live from wherever I am in that moment. But
Yeah.
hey, it's still going to be great. I mean, we're going to come back, and I'm going to have David's going to have to reenact 2 weeks of General Hospital for me because I'm not watching those shows.
I mean, if it was the nurse's ball 2 weeks, you would. But I
Right.
get that. But it clipped along this week. It wasn't too bad. Where do you want to
Well,
start?
well, I wanted to start. I noticed that our episodes are back to being chock-a-block full of many different small scenes with everybody in the cast. Because
Yes.
so in a normal snarking week, I can very easily take 5 screen caps and grab everything that happened in the episode, right? I mean, it covers all the major stories and some funny thing that happened. That's the norm. The last couple of weeks, I've had to make between 7 and 8 pictures just to capture everything that happened. And half the time, I don't capture everything that happened. There are lots of little conversations going on.
Yeah,
David's
yeah.
walking.
Walking.
Can he talk and walk at the same
never never say we're not on the move here.
time?
Uh, well, I would like to start with the Geo constant kerfuffle.
It
At
is.
least this week, people calmed down and talked. Oh, it was just, every time I saw Dante get near Brooklyn, I was like panicking, like, oh, they're going to be yelling at each other again. And so at least people have calmed down a
Yeah,
little bit.
somebody
At
slipped
least that much.
Dante a Xanax, and I'm very grateful for that because I don't like cranky Dante at all.
Dante. Yeah. He's been daily changing, and at least we know his conversation when he was locked up in the jail cell with Chase ended fruitfully because I didn't seem like they really were back on good terms. At least I
Yeah,
mean enough to work together, but not really.
well, if he can bring himself to apologize to Jason, I feel like things are going in the right direction. And he did, I mean, he approached Gio and he had that preliminary conversation. Gio's not real certain about it, but he's busy with Dante's ex-wife. Why would he want to go to a concert with Dante?
And I was worried this week because last Friday we had a major appearance in Snark Park, and I thought, oh, these inter-business softball games that they have. I was like, is this going to be like 3 days of this? Geo is the most popular person on the planet right now.
He really is.
Sonny wants him on his softball team, and he's apparently the head lifeguard now. He's even lifeguarding when the pool is closed.
I know, it's really
And
he's
and
dedicated.
correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't they used to swim in the MetroCourt pool at night? When did they close so early?
Yeah, the MetroCourt pool is just one of those magical locations in Port Charles that sort of has a life of its own. But
At least
people
this is
falling into the pool is like the thing that happens all summer. At least with Drunk Guy, we didn't see him wet. We just heard the splash.
oh yeah, well,
They
come on.
couldn't
If
pay
somebody
him enough to get him wet. They had to just have him
he's like, you
splash
want
off
me
the
to
screen.
fall? You want me to fall in this 3 feet of water?
Yeah. No,
Yeah, the
I'm sorry.
best was like
Our liability insurance will not cover you actually falling into the pool because you will break your neck.
the the best was when Michael was in the pool. Yeah, Roy Gibson's first shirtless scene. Michael was in the pool. It's just like he's sitting on the bottom. He's not treading water, holding up on the side. He's just sitting there
I
having
know.
a
And at this
conversation
point
with Christina.
they can't even cover it up. It's just obvious. It's because we've all been kids. We've all sat at the bottom of the pool. We know what it looks like.
Both Rory Gibson and Sawandi Wilson,
Sawandi
right?
Wilson.
They did little features on their Instagram showing them getting their tattoos covered up. I've always wondered, why would you get a tattoo if you're an actor? Because over your lifetime, you're going to be playing many parts, and a lot of parts don't require. Right.
If you get cast as a priest, that tribal tattoo is not going to fly.
So it always fascinates me when they have to cover up tattoos because I'm like, that's an extra job somebody has to do. So I wonder if they take that into account when they hire somebody. Got any tats that would be visible if we do shirtless scenes because we got to call in Gertha here to cover them up, to spray
Well,
tan them all.
I was thinking, of all the characters on the show right now who should have a sleeve of tattoos, it's Christina. She has that I'm a badass, I'm going to go get my entire arm tattooed energy.
Many, many drunken nights of, I love you, Blaze. I should have your name with a heart
And
on my
her
shirt.
entire sleeve is just various iterations of the word blaze and fire.
Michael coming back with a tattoo would have been fine, to show like the new adult rebel Michael if he hadn't had gone away because he had burns.
Right. Well, we have no
But
scarring, so
right. So we have no, well, hey, we don't with Ava either. But Isaiah, I was like, why can't he have his little back too? I did love how they sort of worked into Laura's conversation all the information that Ava needed to figure out that Rick lied to her. I thought that was pretty good. Usually
yeah.
that kind of stuff's forced.
I'm hoping you can help me. I lost an antique watch a while back, and the last time I remember I know I had it was the day that Rick went to Beecher's Corners to work on a case. Yeah, could you tell me that date, please? Oh, I see. Okay, well, that's my mistake then. Thanks, Trudy. How did you make it back from your meeting in Beecher's Corners so quickly?
I have a fast car, and I know a shortcut.
You lying liar.
That dragonberry juice linchpin got her again. Hey,
Yep. It's always the dragonberry juice. Be careful of the dragonberry juice.
Well, I don't have a problem with Ava and Rick being like this because that's
Oh,
what
no.
they
Yeah.
are. That makes sense. This whole Cody Ava thing makes me nervous because I think somebody is going to say, well, she's got Cam with him. She has chemistry with a Kleenex box, people. That is not the reason to put her with a specific character. It is a weird plot. And just that conversation with Liz and Alexis about, I won't turn her in as long as I know she's really learned her lesson. Oh, she's totally learned her lesson. Meanwhile, cut to the scene where she's trying to set up Ava with Cody. I'm like, what is going on with this girl?
I'm in here covering up my daughter's crime.
Of course you are. She's your daughter.
I couldn't let her go to prison, even though that's what she deserves.
Like you told me, Christina cut the brakes on Rick's car because she thought it was Ava's. I was pretty horrified.
So was I.
But I also know that she's been struggling since she lost the baby and Sam. And if anyone can push a person to the point of snapping, it's Ava.
That is certainly true.
So I think Christina just made a terrible mistake and she gave in to her impulse, and I know she regrets it.
It's very generous of you. And I do think that Christina is aware of the severity of what she's done.
And what's with this sort of dumb act that Cody's doing? I don't know nothing about no art. I can hang your pictures, though. It's just like, that is that. I mean, opposites attract, I guess. I don't know.
I mean, if I were Ava and I had this sort of cute plaything coming at me and I was mad enough at Rick, see, that's going to be the impetus.
Yeah.
Maybe
Oh, yeah. She'll double down.
I will dilly-dally with him because he's pretty, but I don't see anything long-term happening unless at some point during their coital exchange, as it were, Cody somehow comes clean with her and they work together to take care of Rick and Christina. Now we're talking. Okay, I got it all plotted out.
And what about Cody busted into the press conference and saving the day as it was?
Gosh, that press conference. Oh my gosh.
I borrowed Miss Quartermain's car.
What?
Yes. I said I borrowed the car. So in addition to some supplies, I had to pick up ketamine for the procedure. And I must have left a vial in Miss Quartermain's car, which means that the congressman did not frame Miss Quartermain, and Miss Quartermain did not drug the congressman. She's innocent.
He was so bad. He was, well, hold on. I'm trying to remember my lines here. I got it. I went to the vet. I bought ketamine. Here's my receipt. I mean, oh my gosh. And the fact that Drew just caved and admitted that whole thing was so ridiculous. But we love the ridiculous, though. We love the ridiculous.
Although it's like, we appreciate not Tad Martin Gray coming back. However, it's like, pull back a little bit on the comedy with him. Because it's like, he wasn't always a comic character. And now it's sort of bordering on the ridiculous.
I agree. And I made a snark about that this week. It's like, guys, we have a very delicate line here. And right this minute, he is a clown. And that is not what you want. And so, pull back on the Martin stuff. I mean, yes, the fact that he fell and then I don't have insurance. It's just like, come on, you guys, let's like take the foot off the pedal a little bit here. Drew and his giant hand across his I call it his sincerity gesture. You know he's being sincere when that giant hand comes and just lands right here. I made a plot whisper, or I stated something last week, and I changed my mind on the page today, and now I'm going to change it again. And that is, who's creeping on the baby? So my first guess, which I believe is incorrect, was that it was someone Sidwell had hired because he's on this mass thing of, annoying Sonny's family. That was my first guess. I'm retracting that.
Okay.
This morning on the page, I said I would like to change my vote. I think it's Comatose Zombie Willow. I would like to change my vote. Many snarkies said, hey, you know whose name has been mentioned a whole lot lately? Holly.
Yep.
And so I'm like, is it Willow? Is it Holly? Is it some other zombie creature we don't know about? Both Holly and Willow have the wherewithal to sneak around the house without being caught.
Okay.
Because Holly, sort of spy, Willow, I live there. These things are taking place when people are awake and holding conversations in the house. And are we supposed to believe that they have no security that would pick these people up? I mean, we got the full-on nursery room rollabout on camera. Why don't we have cameras anywhere else?
Are Holly and Robert supposed to be apart again? Because Sasha mentioned She FaceTimes with Robert every morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time, she pointed out. And then with Holly, she's just texting her. Who knows? Hopefully the General Hospital writers know.
I almost feel like this is another one of those, we need to put the baby in peril, but we don't know who's doing it yet situations.
Well, and I'm wondering, we're all thinking it's going to lead to a kidnapping. I was kind of wondering, watching yesterday, maybe they're just going to do a Gaslight Sasha story, which of course would fit right in with the cruelty to Sasha theme we have going on the show.
Do they get bonus points for how mean they are to her? Like they have some kind of writer's thing?
I mean, wouldn't that freak you out? Somebody changing the baby's outfit and then turning them around the other way?
Yeah, putting the milk in the closet. See, this is, I don't want it to be a Sasha is the one who's going nuts story.
It's a big house with many rooms, and at least they show the different rooms, unlike other people's abodes.
Yes, well, the Q sets are expensive sets.
They also have a lot of people living there.
You know who else might be the one in the nursery?
Oh, okay.
Britt Westbourne.
Oh, well, yeah, because she's coming back. Yeah.
And
just saying.
There's still people saying, I hope she comes back as Britt, guys. They have set this up. She's going to come back as Britt.
Yes.
Although
she still has Huntington's disease, correct?
Well, unless the death and resurrection took care of that. Death and resurrection tends to solve a lot of things.
What's the cure for Huntington's disease? Death. Oh, good. So after you die, you get rid of it.
Yeah, pretty much.
So when you come back to life, sure. Okay.
That is going to be just a fun retcon. I mean, because look, people coming back to life, it happens all the time in soap operas. We should not be alarmed by this, nor should we anticipate that it happens in real life. But
and people said, why do they have to kill her off? Well, she requested it, so they did it. So yeah, they'll squirm out of it.
Of course they will. And I just hope that Liesl comes back with her to explain how she resurrected her. Because it's going to be.
That's what I'm hoping.
It's going to be Liesl in a laboratory with syringes. That's going to be
with syringes. Got it. What was your reaction to the Rocco Danny shenanigans? We now work at the MetroCourt pool.
I'm torn by this whole thing. On the one hand, I love that we get to see the boys all together. They're very cute. Right. They're fun together. That teenage boyness is a fun kind of, golden retriever puppy energy that I think the show needs. So in that sense, I really like it. The fact that there was just a lot of weird dialogue yesterday, the whole thing about them smelling and the dirty towel. And it was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, we wanted to push each other in the pool. And, like Dante and Jason pointing out the obvious, but you're at work. Really?
Right. Did nobody sit them down? And I mean, like the first thing I would have started with is don't screw up because Carly will kill you. I mean, that would have started there.
That should have been like your first note to the kids. Now, I did like that at the beginning, they were nervous and like, okay, we'll figure it out and everything. That seemed realistic. Yeah. But by the end of the day, it's like, oh, what do you mean we can't go for a swim? And I'm at least glad that they acknowledge that the Quartermains have a pool.
Right.
I always wonder, like, why is everybody going to the MetroCourt? Why are all the Quartermains going to the MetroCourt when they can just stay home?
Because and I'm sure they're, of course, because Yuri can bring them beverages and they have a nice pool and there's nobody urinating in their pool. It's much better. Stay at the queues.
There's no drunks hitting on you. Yeah, come on. And we had Gio, showing off the body this week too at the pool. I've never seen that before. He didn't put his shirt on until later in the day.
But both Rocco and Danny have buffed up. It's really interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I have a feeling all those guys get together and Maurice takes them through their paces and they're sweating and smelling and doing their boy thing over there. I mean, I can see it, but they're all looking really, really good right now.
Yeah. I wish we would see Scout
and Charlotte. And Charlotte.
And Charlotte. The girls.
we have these other kids, and yeah.
Now, I want to talk about Natalia a little bit because you mentioned that I may be right with my tea that I spilt. So I don't know about a Drew murder mystery if they're going to kill off Natalia. And of course, if Sonny kills off Natalia, we just won't talk about it ever again.
No, she'll just go away. I have a feeling they're going to kill her off and make it look like Sonny did it, but he didn't do it. How many absolutely in cold blood murders can you lay on one person and continue to redeem them after the fact? I don't know.
Right. Okay, I want to introduce a new little feature, maybe every week, may not be every week. But since Mama Snark and I both hate tropes, let's talk about the trope of the week.
Okay.
And the trope of the week was Brooke Lynn leaving the Quartermain mansion to apparently go seek out Gio and then overhear that conversation with Lulu, which is a trope in and of itself, overhearing a conversation, but then leaves all her important papers that Marco gave her sitting on the desk with the label rocked right out in plain sight for Danny to find.
Right. She stacks them all up and organizes them and puts them down, and then she gets up and leaves. Who does that?
Is there a drawer handy you can put them in, or maybe put them in your briefcase, or take them with you? It's not just your home. That is a public area of the Quartermain mansion. Everybody's in that room.
The other thing is, and because we were talking about the enormity of the Quartermain mansion, why the heck isn't she in her own room looking at the secret papers and then tucking them away? Why on earth is she sitting in the whatever that is, it's like a salon. I have a new nickname for Brooklyn.
Yes.
Pool boots. She wears those little booties everywhere, and when she's standing there lurking at Gio and Lulu, she's got her little pool boots on, and it's hilarious. People have been commenting on her costuming and that it's a little heavy-handed. We know that she wants to be dressed conservatively. Nobody has any problem with that, but dressing her in things that look like they pulled it out of the Little House on the Prairie closet is not working. This is a woman who works for a fashion/makeup company. She's supposed to be on the cutting edge. She's wealthy. Put this woman in some decent clothes. My gosh. Yeah, I don't know. Unless it's what Amanda wants. And if it is, more power to her. But yeah, looking like.
Well, but I mean, look at Lulu. I mean, Lulu isn't dressing exactly as I remember Lulu dressing. They have her in these little like cutesy outfits, and it's like, or like mom jeans and a tuck blouse, and I'm like, was that how Lulu dressed? I mean, maybe they got rid of all her clothes when she was in the coma, and then she had to go thrift shopping. I don't know.
Well, Maxie should have gone with her and said, buy this, don't buy that, buy this, don't buy that.
Writing goes into the making of a character, but costuming also is vital to cluing you into a character. Like Lucy Coe is always in a fabulous dress.
And Ava.
It's got to make sense with the character. And right.
Ava's always dressed to the nines, right? We'd all freak out if we ever saw her in a sweatshirt and sweatpants, which I think we did when she was in the clinic or whatever, but it's very jarring. Yeah.
And Rick's always in a suit. And then when he's casual, he looks like he's wearing the sort of preppy casual that a character like that would wear. So there needs to be consistency also in the costuming, not just in the character. I mean, Michael now, I was looking at what he was wearing the other day, and it's like, again, we used to always make fun of Michael never being in a suit, and when he was in a suit, it looked like it was, off the rack at Sears. Michael right now is dressing, it's casual, but it's a little bit different casual.
Yeah, it's not
which I'm okay with. I'm okay.
It's not t-shirts. It's what CEOs wear when they're being casual, right?
Right. They had Chad in a lot of t-shirts, which didn't help make him look older and more sober.
No.
They just made him look like a teenager. I do want to address something that's been popping up all over the internet this week, and we mentioned early all of Cody's antics, but everybody's like freaking out that Josh Kelly, the actor, was bumped to recurring status as of last week, and everybody is freaking out. What does that mean? They're writing code. All right, no, they're not. There's a lot of people on General Hospital who are on recurring status. So I want to talk about recurring status versus contract status. Contract status is simply you have a contract with the show. And as we've said, like, why do we see Carly every day? You work certain things, certain perks into your contract. Like, I get 4 appearances a week. You're paid for 4 appearances per week per your contract. Doesn't matter if you're on 4 times a week. So that's why sometimes you'll see, like, oh, why is Carly on today? Because they have to, if you're paying someone, you're going to want to use them in the show. Recurring status means they're just paying you by the day, which means you work today, you get paid. You don't work the rest of the week, you don't get paid. It's a way to save money, and it's a way to also give actors freedom to do other jobs. So, like, for example, our beloved Diane, Carolyn Hennessy.
She's a busy
She's
girl.
on everything, and she's doing plays, and she's everywhere. And so being recurring as Diane, just showing up when needed, works perfectly for her. And I'm sure they work out the schedule where, since they're doing everybody's scenes at once on a set, that, she comes in for a full day and maybe does 4 or 5 episodes in one day. And, there's a lot of people on GH that are recurring. It doesn't mean they're going to go anywhere. Jen Sidwell is recurring. Ned Quartermain is recurring. Olivia is recurring.
Felicia.
The list goes on.
Yeah.
Oh, no, Felicia's on contract now.
Oh, she is
And
now?
that's a good point.
Okay.
Yeah, she's been for a while. And I'm glad you brought that up, because that's also the reason why all of a sudden Felicia became a patient advocate, because they put her back on contract. She had a certain guarantee of how many days a week she was going to appear. And that's why she's the go-to person in a lot of plots. Like the other day, Sasha, asking her to be the godmother. So that's a great point. So Christina Wagner's on contract, but guess who isn't? John J. York. He's recurring. So that's why you see Felicia a lot and you don't see Mac a lot. So it's as simple as that. It's not a reason to panic.
It's not a demotion. We should say that.
No. And I mean, knowing Frank, he probably said, like, look, I need a little money in the budget, Josh. You mind switching to recurring for now? I'll put you back on contract when I know we're going to do something. And that happens a lot too. An actor is not really featured in a storyline after they've been featured very heavily. A lot of actors will go recurring because it's like, I want to do other things. I want to audition for things. And so it is just a natural process of soap operas to have contract actors where you're always going to have them for front burner stories, and recurring actors who will come in and out. They might have a hot storyline for a while, but then things will cool off and they'll go away for a little bit. That's why you see Lucy Coe occasionally, because she's recurring. That's why you used to see Liesel occasionally. She's recurring. Terry Randolph, who we would love to see, the co-chief of staff, is recurring.
Well, she's in the character closet. Yeah. Agreed.
And speaking of co-chiefs of staff, the Portia nonsense continues.
It's just getting worse. And so help me, if they put Isaiah with her, I will march down to Prospect Park and have words with people, because this is Portia in my world has worn out her welcome. Look,
yes.
we know we need characters who grate on us. We need characters to stir the pot. We need people to be bad. But she's gotten herself into the Lisa Niles category of annoyance. She's just grates on me every time she shows up. And it's not fair to, and I said this on the page a couple of weeks, it's not fair to Brooke Carr, or Kerr, however you say her last name. It's not fair to her, because she is a beautiful woman. She is a very talented actress. And they've stuck her in this role where everybody hates her. And that's hard. That's just hard.
Well, once you've watched soap operas for 5 years or more, you know when it's coming. I told you they were chem testing her with Isaiah, and now all of a sudden, there they are. I'm not a big let's have a girl fight person. Yes, I love Dynasty. You lived for Alexis and Crystal to have that, once a year all out, fighting in the fountain, pushing each other down a hill, and I realized that is part of soap opera. And I thought General Hospital was getting away from it for a while because sort of a bad look. But I like to think of it from the point of the character. If there is a character that is willing to throw a drink in somebody's face or push them in a pool or just, pick a physical fight, it's like, ew, that really sours me on the character. Expected it on Dynasty, but on General Hospital, it's like those fights, they're popular. But it just always leaves me with a little bit of like an icky taste in my mouth.
I agree with you 100%. That whole exchange between Portia and Jordan felt like junior high.
And it was very forced. Portia went from like 0 to 60 in like 2 seconds.
Portia needs a redo. We need to put her in the character closet and just kind of rethink the whole situation.
So we've just been all over the map today, but hey, if you watch this Snarkcast, you get it. But let's pivot now to our characters of the week. Mama Snark.
So my character of the week is Elizabeth with a codicil, with an asterisk. I liked her conversations with Alexis. I like how she sort of set the boundaries and said what she was feeling. The thing that I don't agree with is her backing up and going, "You're right, I won't turn you in." And there's probably a lot more reasons than just Sam died and Lucky could be caught up in this. I'm trying to decide if that makes her character weaker or if it gave her more strength. And I'm not there yet. So that is my sort of nebulous character of the week. David, what about you?
I think it makes her stronger.
Okay.
Because I've been in this situation, many other people have been in this situation where I had an opportunity to pursue a lawsuit that I would have won. And I just went, it's not worth it. It's not worth my time.
Yeah.
It's not worth the money invested to potentially get money out of a situation. It's just a bad situation. I want to put it to bed and move on with my life. And I think that shows strength.
Thank you. That helps a lot for me in her doing that. The thing that is really the tipping point on that, though, is it's not just a lawsuit. Christina is a loose cannon and she's hurt people and she's going to hurt people again. And so we have this looking the other way of the crazy person. And that's the part, I guess, that bothers me is that people.
Right. I get that. I mean, according to Elizabeth this week, she feels that Christina is on the road to mending. People can be wrong, and Elizabeth is wrong in this case. But I don't think that necessarily makes her weaker.
Okay.
Maybe she does. Maybe that is what she is seeing. See, you tune in here and you get psychology too. Isn't that amazing? So my character of the week is the low-hanging fruit. But she's the best low-hanging fruit you could pick because, once again, it's Tracy.
Regard to the reckless and reprehensible accusations levied against my beloved and honorable nephew, Congressman Drew Quarters. I can't do it.
And I mean, I know the whole thing was like set up because they knew they were going to do this thing with the ketamine and it's Cody, it was Cody's ketamine, not Tracy's ketamine. And, both parties are innocent, but it was still very fun to watch. And I mean,
it was
really, did anybody think for a minute she was going to go through with it anyway? No, of course not. But it was just a lot of fun. And again, when they insert that comedy in the right places, it's gold. And it just makes the whole soap opera watching experience so much better. And I do remember, as recently as last year when every day was doom and gloom. So I just like that things have lightened up on the show a little bit and it's enjoyable.
Tracy and Martin in that scene are a really good juxtaposition because Tracy's humor was on point. It was appropriate. It was character appropriate. Yeah. Martin's humor in that scene was slapstick, over the top, and forced. So, and these two, believe me, any scene with Tracy and Martin has potential to be just gold, right? They have knocked it out of the park so many times. Yeah, we got to watch it with Martin.
There was an overeager writer that must have watched this Snarkcast and said, "Oh, they like this. Let's give them more." And it was just a little too much.
Subtlety works for us too. We aren't so dense that we can't catch the subtle.
It is time for
Text messages from Wicked Stepmother. Wicked Stepmother is in Kau, Hawaii, on the Big Island. And for those of you who are new, she appeared on General Hospital for 2 whole weeks as a person dying of Lassa fever. So she knows the inside scoop. She said, "I'm so excited for Erica Slezak. I want her to show up." She said, "Your grandmother," talking about my grandmother, "your grandmother got me into all the ABC soaps when I stayed with her when she was getting her master's degree." She has a master's degree in piano performance, believe it or not. And so she's saying she's very excited about Erica coming. She said, "This week's theme seems to be changing partners and imploding relationships." Yes, well, I believe that's almost every week. That's the theme. But she says the Jacques poolside, Jacques, I accuse you, was Portia's big blowout. We are all struggling with Portia, Nina, and you're not the only one. So that's text messages from Wicked Stepmother.
So once again, not only do you learn something from this Snarkcast, you can also learn another language thanks to Wicked Stepmother. That's great.
Jacques.
Anyway, that wraps it up for us. I'm going to go and enjoy this overcast, but only 68 degrees, thank goodness, New York City weather, because the Pride Parade on Sunday, it's going to be back to 89.
Hot Pride parades. I've been there. Been there, done that.
Yes. Anyway, be sure to like, follow, subscribe, do whatever you need to do on the appropriate page, whether it be on Facebook, on X, on Instagram, on Substack, on YouTube. And don't forget, every week drops a new episode of Mama Snark's Old Lady Podcast. I always look forward to that. Anyway, we look forward to seeing you next week. For Mama Snark and I, have a good one.
Bye-bye.